Hey, it's Vicky back with another alcohol ink painting. This is try number 2 with this voiceover because it didn't work the first time. That's a little irritating, but that's okay. So I started with 3 different colors with this, a yellow, a cranberry, and a black. And as you can see, I put the yellow in one corner and I'm kind of dragging it down. I thought that would be a cool effect to have the light color coming from one corner and coming down. What you don't see in this video right now is that after this, I ended up getting a giant drop of just alcohol on one side of it, and it was not fixable. So I didn't want to start over, all the way over. So what I did is I just trimmed it off. So instead of a 9 by 12 painting that I usually do, this one became an 8 by 10, and that worked out just fine. So as you can see, I have taken my paintbrush, I've got it filled with isopropyl alcohol, and I am blocking in the shapes of this little rodent here. This is actually a chinchilla. Now, there's a story behind this chinchilla. I have a student, I'm an art teacher, and I have a student that last year, every time I would see this student, she would ask me if I did any new paintings. And I would say yes, and she would say, "Is it a chinchilla?" Every time. And I'd say no, and then I'd show her what I did, and she'd be like, "Okay." And then I told her, I said, "I'll do a chinchilla one of these days." Because she has chinchillas and she loves her chinchillas. And so the year went by, all the way through last year, and I didn't do any chinchilla paintings. And at the end of the year, I told her, I said, I will try and get a chinchilla painting done this summer. And I didn't want to just do a chinchilla painting without having the right background because I I like to I like the backgrounds to match with the animal that I do. That's why I do the backgrounds first, and then I try and just figure out what animal is going to look best in there or what animal I can see in the shapes in the background. And so finally, I did this background. I wasn't even thinking chinchilla, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is the one. I can do a chinchilla in this painting." So that's how this painting came about. So you can see now I have started putting in color. So I took out the color to start with, and now I'm adding color. So I added a little bit of yellow, and now I'm going in and I'm adding kind of a reddish color, like a cranberry color, into the body of the chinchilla. I like to use the colors that are in the background in the actual animal because I think that looks nice and it gives it a nice sense of unity. So I had to actually go back over the red because I just decided that it was too red. So now I'm going back over with a darker color to kind of mute it a little bit. It was just too intense and too bright. So now I am going through with my paintbrush. I've got a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on there, not a lot, it doesn't take a lot. And I am reactivating those inks. So when you put the ink on, it dries, instantly. And then when you touch it with the isopropyl alcohol, it reactivates the inks, and then I'm able to move them around into the place that I want them to be. Now, alcohol ink is really great for getting textures. And so I love doing fur in alcohol ink. Now, a chinchilla is actually a lot fuzzier than some animals. It's kind of a fuzzy kind of fur. And so I kind of tried to go in instead of making it look like maybe like dog fur or something. I tried to make it a little bit fuzzier looking. So I don't know if I achieved that, but that was my goal in doing it. And then I found it. What I found difficult about this one was that I wasn't sure how much yellow to put in it because I wanted it to look like the yellow is shining down onto the chinchilla, and my reference photo didn't really show didn't show that, and so I just kind of had to use my artistic license to decide how much yellow to put in there. And so I think I achieved it. You can see at the end and see what you think, but so I'm just going in and, oh, there I am, in all my glory with my gray hair. Hey ladies, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're still dyeing your hair, just stop. Just let it go. I love my gray hair. And I would have never known if I hadn't stopped coloring it. I stopped coloring my hair. Oh gosh, it's been like 11 years now. So I encourage everyone to do that. All right. Anyway, back to the painting. So I'm just going along and with my paintbrush and the alcohol on there and just moving those inks around. That's how I do it. I take ink away, I add ink in, and I move it around. I try to make sure that that ink and that alcohol, the isopropyl alcohol, stays within the animal because if you get it on the background, it's really difficult to fix. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done because it can, but I haven't had too much luck really being able to fix a background. But, everything happens for a reason. So if you get something on the background, it's okay. Just you can just go with it or you can start over. It's your painting. You can do whatever you want to do. I've reworked entire backgrounds before because I didn't like them or it didn't go well with the subject that I put in there. So, just decide what you need to do and do it. Just go for it. I think that's the thing. For years, I was afraid to to do things or to push something too far, but now in my older age, you just go for it, and whatever happens happens, and sometimes bad things happen, and that's okay too, and you just make the most of it. As a teacher, I have to tell that to my students all the time. It's happy accidents, right? Like Bob Ross. It's always okay. It might not be exactly what you had intended, but whatever you do, it's okay and it's going to be fine. Especially in alcohol ink because you can take it away. So if you put something on there and you don't like it, just you can take it away and you can rework those backgrounds if you need to. I just try not to. Try to keep those intact so that you can, still see that abstract fluidity. I love that with alcohol ink. And then putting that realism in there, I just love it. So now I'm just working the face of the chinchilla and trying to get all those little details in there. And yeah, in a minute here, I'm going to start in on the eye, and I tried to get a real good close up so you could see. Oh, wait, first I do the tail. So the tail is just throwing a bunch of ink on there. Now, when you put the dark color on there and then you touch it with the alcohol, it spreads it out, and so it makes it so that it's not as dark. So I kept having to put more dark in there and more dark in there to keep it dark in the corner there, but not too difficult. I made the tips kind of lighter in that tail, so I thought that turned out good. Um, yeah, fuzzy, fuzzy. And now we're doing the eye. And at first, the eye looks like a cartoon, I feel like, until you get the highlights in there and all the little nuance of an eye. And then it still kind of felt pasted on there until I kind of fuzzed it into the rest of the chinchilla there. So you'll see me do that too. Yeah. So now I am, there you go. Now I'm just kind of fuzzing it into it so that it actually looks like it belongs, as part of its face instead of just on its face. And now we get that highlight. It's super important to get that highlight in the animal. And then I decided that I wanted the eye to be a little bit more brown, a little bit warmer. So I added some brown to it. Okay, now I'm going in and my chinchilla looks like he's just floating in air there. So I wanted to ground him. So I put a little bit of shadow underneath him. I didn't put a huge shadow on this one because down in the corner of that background, it's darker than the rest. So I didn't think it really needed a huge shadow. The last painting I did, the tortoise, I put quite a shadow on there. It needed a lot more shadow, but this one I just didn't feel like it did. And again, that's just up to you what you decide to do with your painting. So I did add a little bit of darker underneath the chinchilla there, and not too much shadow though. So the last part of this is the whiskers, and I use something called Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White to do this the whiskers. Oh, I had a little dot up there that I fixed. Okay, so with the details in the feet too, I added more details in there. Now with the whiskers, the Dr. Martens is kind of like a white gouache, and it's just white. And I used to use it when I did watercolor a lot, so you'll see me use it now. And I like to use it because it's water based, and so I can put the whiskers on, and if I don't like them, I can take them back off with just some water because the water doesn't really change the alcohol ink painting. And so that's a really nice feature because you could make whiskers with alcohol ink. You'd have to take it off, but I don't know that you could get them as thin. Maybe you could. I'm sure somebody could, but I don't know that I could. So I just prefer to use the Dr. Martens. Then I decided the whiskers needed to be yellow like the rest of it. And so I went and got a water-based marker and I just colored the whiskers. I didn't want to use the alcohol ink markers to do that because I was afraid it would touch and then I'd have a problem. So there it is. There's little Chinchilla. He's finished. And this one's called Into the Light. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thanks. We'll see you next time.